All right, on this episode of the LPDS, we get into road trip thoughts, how to handle a long road trip and maintain your sanity. I talk about a little bit of a situation I got going on at the LPDS ranch that is currently unsolved. And we say goodbye to a great childhood hero. All that, plus a cage fact, coming at you right now. All right, jabronis, we're back. Welcome back to Libretti Podcast Diary Show. I'm your host, Libretti, and we are back at the LPDS ranch, back at the home compound in Texas, rooting and tooting and shooting our 6-shooters. Hope you had a good week. Hope everybody had a good week. How you doing? Already starting off hot. Mine was crazy. I'll talk about it in a little bit here. A couple quick things here. I set up the new camera. I'll post a picture on Instagrams or something so you can check it out if you want to see what the setup looks like. But I got a new camera. I'm still trying to figure out the zoom and the brightness and focus of it all. It is a legitimate camera that my brother Nicky Sticks helped me acquire. So it's for professionals, not for jabronis. So I have to turn myself into a camera professional very quickly here so that we're not dealing with garbage quality. You can see the aspect ratio is a little off if you're watching in YouTube land, and I'm trying to really fine tune the focus and the zoom and the how you doing. So we'll get there, but I'm very excited that we have an official camera set up. There should be no more disconnects on the video feeds. Knock on wood, and it should be a good time. And I'm excited to actually learn about it. It's also used as a digital camera to take photos, so I may use it to take some more photos. I'll probably use it for spearhead leadership a lot, I'm sure. It would be nice if I had someone that already knows how to use this stuff to help me out here, but that's what the internet is for, and we're going to figure it out. So very excited stuff. Now, moving on. I want to get this out of the way now. Okay, I want to get the sad stuff out of the way right now. And I know I don't care if people, bust my chops for whatever, for talking about this or being sad about this or whatever, getting worked up, teared up, whatever. I don't, I know that stuff doesn't bother me anymore. For whatever reason, over the past several years, I can't really put my finger on like the point, but my emotions run wild when it comes to getting in your feels. And I don't know if that's just growing up, being more secure in doing that. I'm not trying to brag here, but over the past few years, I've been a lot more emotionally in tuned, I guess you can say, and more okay with that. With that all being said, sad news in the Hollywood world, in the childhood hero world. Carl Weathers has passed away at the age of 76. Now, if you don't know who Carl Weathers is, you probably know him by his character names. A lot of you will know him as Chubbs Peterson, Club Pro from Happy Gilmore, an Adam Sandler classic. Wooden hand, damn alligator bit my hand off. You might know him from Predator as Dylan. What's wrong, Dylan? CIA got you pushing too many pencils. Handshake. If you've seen that meme, the black arm and the white arm, the Schwarzenegger arm and the Carl Weathers arm shaking hands. You've seen that meme everywhere. That's from Predator. It is the quintessential man handshake because of that movie. But for me, he will always be Apollo Creed. And if you know anything about me and this show, and even up top, you can't really see it in the video, but I got a Rocky poster right here, Rocky painting, and I have another one with Apollo Creed on it that's going to go up in the LPDS ranch soon enough. I just brought it down from New Jersey. You know how much the Rocky series changed my life. I've done episodes on it, full episodes, talking about it, crying about it, laughing about it. I do the Rocky run with Nikki Sticks every couple years. It is the saga, the series, the movie series that changed my life the most, I'd say. And I've discussed this in the past and how I used to think that was stupid, how movies and strangers and celebrities get you all emotional and this and that. And it doesn't make any sense because you never met them and they're just movies. They're not even real, blah, blah. Like I said, I have moved past that. I have learned and grown and improved from that mindset, which I believe to be a little bit of a more closed-minded mindset on my part. But that saga changed my life. Rocky changed my life, and I know it changed other people's lives. I've talked to people who have been affected in that way by Rocky. I watched it when I was a kid the first time, and I've talked about it previously, and I'll talk about it again. I remember distinctly creating an entire workout routine in middle school. I was just a wet noodle of a kid with braces and headgear and not very popular with the ladies. And I remember building an entire workout routine so I can look like Rocky and move like Apollo Creed, or look like Apollo Creed. He was an Adonis in that movie. Nobody really pays attention to that as much, but Apollo Creed was stacked, especially if you look at Rocky 1 with the juxtaposition between him and bum Rocky, because Rocky and Sylvester Stallone in Rocky 1 was not jacked by any means. He was barely, I wouldn't even consider him fit. He was barely fit to fight. And Apollo Creed had a 28-pack abs. He was always oiled up and glistening. And it just got more and more enhanced between Rocky 2 and Rocky 3, and then, of course, Rocky 4, which was his last Rocky. So it goes without saying, even though I say it still, the Rocky series changed my life. And with that, something you have to admit to as a fan of Rocky, as an objective viewer of the movie franchise, the series, and the success of it, and knowing the history of it, which I'll get into, I will argue you don't get Rocky 2, you don't get a franchise, you don't get a successful Rocky life-changing series without Carl Weathers' performance as Apollo Creed. Rocky, the movie, was written by Stallone, who was a poor bum. He wasn't an actor. He was just a guy. He had to sell his dog to make enough money to put the movie out and toss the screenplay off to people who might take it, who might buy it from him. And then he eventually got the movie signed and he bought his dog back for like $15,000 or something like that. But he wasn't an actor. He was just a guy. I think he did some pornos back in the day to make ends meet, like some back lot behind the dumpster pornos on a shady camcorder to make a couple bucks to buy cigarettes, basically. I mean, Stallone was just a guy on the street, not an actor. He had no staying power in Hollywood. He had no credibility, no gusto in Hollywood at the time to where you look and be like, oh, Sly Stallone wrote this or he's going to be in it. I want it. It's going to be a success. He wasn't that guy yet. He was just Sylvester. Some strange guy obsessed with making this movie. So, realistically speaking, objectively speaking, as much as I love Sly Stallone and Rocky, obviously, he needed Carl Weathers to make that movie a success. If he had anybody else in that role, it would not have made it. It would have made the movie would have been made, and it probably would have been a decent movie. Does it get to a Rocky 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, a Rocky Balboa, a Creed, all the entire portfolio of success throughout the decades? No. It just doesn't. And I can say that objectively, as much as I love Rocky and Sly, it doesn't happen without Carl Weathers. And you can look at old interviews with Sly Stallone. I just saw one earlier. The guy who does these paintings behind me on YouTube land, if you're watching, John Rivoli, Icons in Art, he just posted another video of Stallone when they did a documentary talking about hiring Carl Weathers and how he came in and he just brought the house down. And Stallone's like, look, we got to hire this guy. We need this guy to be Apollo Creed or else, practically. And his cockiness and his machismo and his air about him as the character brought that movie to life. It played exactly perfectly for the sort of bum, dopey Italian character that Stallone played as Rocky. And it just brought the movie together. And the smashing success of that movie, arguably mostly due to Carl Weathers bringing it to life and giving it the pop it needed. Because of the success, you get the rest of them. And then you can argue the better Rockies of them all, because a lot of people don't say Rocky 1 is their favorite or the best one. A lot of people say 2 is better. And it is a tremendous one. I would argue that too. That Rocky 2 was probably better than Rocky 1. But you don't get to Rocky 2 without Carl Weathers. You don't get it without Apollo Creed and Carl Weathers' performance as Apollo Creed. He lit up the screen. He did exactly what you would expect that character to do. It was just the perfect performance. And it shaped in creating the success of that franchise and launching it into immortality in Hollywood. It shaped the lives of millions, including me. And again, I used to think it didn't make sense when a celebrity passed on, music artist, performing artist, an actor, whatever, and people are reeling and crying. I can't believe this guy passed away or this gal passed away there. And a long time ago, I didn't get it. I was like, you never even met this person. What is it? But if you connect the dots on the impact that some of these people had, and I talked about it with when Paulie passed away too. And he was a bit character. He was a third, fourth tier character in the first couple of Rockies. He was Adrian's brother, Paulie. And he had an impact on me. Apollo Creed was the guy. He was the rival. The Count of Monte Fisto. The Master of Disaster. And the impact his character and his role in that series had on my young, stupid, geeky, nerdy loser life. I say loser, but I didn't feel like a loser. I wasn't a loser. But in comparison to what I am now, yeah, I was a loser because I'm way more successful now. That he changed me. It changed me forever. And it still does. That series That saga still changes me. Every time I see the movies are on, I'm watching them. It gives me the motivation again to go change my workout routine to get buffer or to get more fit, get more aerobically fit, whatever, get tougher, everything. There's so much in there from such a simple concept of an underdog fighter, beating the odds and beating all these Goliaths. So this one hurt. Needless to say, this one hurt. When a stranger, through their job of pretending to be someone else, has that kind of impact on your entire existence, just catching you emotionally like that, to the point where it changes you forever. You are never the same after that because of their performance on the screen. When they pass on, it's tough. And I think maybe it's because it didn't hit home when I was making fun of everybody else for feeling that way. But it's hit home. And there are a handful of performers and actors that will do that to me. Stallone, maybe Schwarzenegger, probably not as much though. Well, maybe Harrison Ford for Indiana Jones. Steve Carell. Of course, Nic Cage. Of course, that goes without saying. And Apollo Creed. And you sit there probably as an outsider thinking, why is this guy getting all choked up about this dude? Again, a person he never met. The only reason why we never met is not because I didn't want to. We just never crossed paths. We lived in different worlds. Otherwise, I would have tried to meet him. I would have been best pals with him. He's a hero of mine. Okay? And I know they say don't meet your heroes. I want to meet all my heroes. Even if they're dickheads in real life, they still deserve the kudos and to know the positive impact they've had on people. And maybe that'll humble them a little bit. Maybe that'll make them be less dickheads. Maybe it won't. I don't know. But if I got the chance to meet, I would have loved to tell him, I know you get this a billion times, but the impact you had on my existence is unfathomable. There are no words to describe it. Unfathomable is not even the right word. I'm using the wrong word here. There are no words to describe that his character's impact and his performance on my entire existence. Through Rocky, through Predator, through Action Jackson, through Happy Gilmore. Rest in power, Carl Weathers. With that, we'll just skip right into the good stuff now. We got the sadness out of the way. We'll step into the cage.
Okay, let's run.
All right. Today's Into the Cage segment is proudly sponsored by the Prison Pocket. Do you have something important to carry around with you, but you don't want anyone to know, so you can't just put it in your regular pants pockets? Then get yourself a Prison Pocket today. The PPD is a special new way to carry your private belongings and still get around the yard. With a custom-sized interior and a lubricated exterior, the Prison Pocket fits perfectly into the darkness, keeping your stuff protected and safe without anybody knowing about it. So to get your Prison Pocket today, visit www.preparationp.com and use the promo code Don't Sneeze for 29% off your Prison Pocket. if you don't know what a prison pocket is, and you don't know if you need one because of that, Google it. Go look it up, and then go to the website and make a purchase with the promo code so you can get a discount on it. But I encourage you all to Google it. Do it at work. Do it at home on your family computer. Do it. Anybody who else wants to know around you, make sure you show them what it is so you know that these options are out there for you to carry your stuff in. So go check it out. All right, the Cage fact. Nic Cage has a new movie coming out this year. Again. And just when you think he's done, is his birthday hit in January of this year and of every year, duh. And he mentioned that he's going to start ramping down the movie making so he can sort of ease off into the sunset of retirement soon enough. And now he's got a movie coming out in July of 2024. It's called Long Legs. The trailer is out, a quick trailer. It's not one of those 10-minute trailers that's pretty much the whole movie that makes me not want to go to the movies and see it, like a lot of these have been recent over the past couple of years. They have trailer releases now, like exclusive releases and announcements that a trailer's coming out, and it ends up just being the cliff notes of the movie. It's like, great, now I don't have to pay money to go see it. Thanks a lot, idiots. This was not the case. Very subtle, sinister looking. Long Legs is, I guess it's a thriller horror movie where this detective is trying to find this very sinister, dark serial killer. And guess who the killer is? My man, the Great One. And he doesn't even show up in the trailer. You don't see him at all, but you hear him. And it's just enough to do exactly what a trailer should do and to tease the audience with that little sound. You know Nic Cage's voice. You know what he sounds like. You know how he laughs. You know how he breathes. And when you hear it in the background towards the end of the trailer, you know shit's about to go down in July. Now, you see Nic Cage as a good guy all the time. You rarely get to see him as a bad guy. But you see how different he is as a good guy, how extra he is. Now imagine him as the bad guy, as a killer, a serial killer in a horror movie. Not a comedy, a horror movie. I can't wait. I cannot wait. If I could, I'd download it illegally right now. And I'd risk jail time. Because it would totally be worth it. Plus, I'd have a discounted prison pocket to protect my goods when I'm walking around the yard. So, can't wait for that. Very excited. Stay tuned for more updates on Long Legs here. And the only place for you to get quality, unique, up-to-date Nic Cage facts. This is the only place on the internet. Okay? I don't think other people realize this. Outside of the Junction, maybe that's why not more people are tuning in weekly. This is the only podcast that I have seen where we have a dedicated segment every week to a new piece of information about Nic Cage. You get the memes on the internets. You can Google some stuff. There are some articles that list out crazy facts about him, all of which have already been spoken about on this show. But you don't get the number one source for Nic Cage news and facts and updates and everything about the Great One. Tell your friends that. Tell your enemies that. If they don't like Nic Cage, tell them to come on as a troll job. Let them know, hey, this guy hates Nic Cage too. Put him on. They get onto the show. They hear me loving on Nic Cage. Got him. I got the views. You got the troll job. Everybody wins. The only show to do that. Anyway, that's the Cage fact. All right, we'll move on over to the Jabroni Junction. We'll spin the logo up over here. I don't have much to say. This week has been a little bit crazy for me. I don't know why I'm pausing. This week has been a little bit crazy for me. I started the week off with the road trip back from Jersey to Texas. Solo trip. Well, me and my PIC Randy, my dog, he drove with me. We took a 2-day trip, 12 hours a clip. It actually took only 12 hours each day. Usually it takes up to 14 with stops and traffic and what have yous. But it ended up being only about 12 each day, which was good because I got it dialed in, I think, with the stops. And I did this inadvertently, but it's like my brain already knew where the good stops are on the highway. Now, I've done this trip a number of times back and forth already, so I'm sure the muscle memory has kicked in, and I just kind of subconsciously know that the timing of when I want to make my stops, where it lines up with the good rest stops. We're talking the big Loves, gas stations and truck stops. We're talking the Buc-ee's. We're talking the exits that have shit to do, fast food joints, places to go eat, not just the one-off gas stations only that you can only buy mixed nuts and glory holes. Like legitimate stops. And I think my brain, my muscle memory has dialed it in to the point where I don't need to like look on the map or look at the signs on the exit. I just kind of know like, oh, I know when I want to stop with the distance between my stops at, this many miles, this many hours, and we're going to stop. And this is going to be a food stop, or this is going to be a gas stop, or this is going to be just a bathroom break or whatever. And those timings almost never change. There and back on my trip. Now, that's something I understand not a lot of people do. It seems a little ridiculous to plan out that sort of specifically. I got it. Everybody's different how they plan things. That's what I do. For better or worse, whether you believe me or not, you can go ask anybody I've gone on a trip with, a road trip, a vacation, anything. I make a mean travel itinerary. Okay? And depending on who I'm with and what their expectations are of the trip or what we want to do during that trip, I'll have that thing built out from the time you open your peepers in the morning to the time you go to sleep at night. Your entire day, you have to just wake up and you can put it on autopilot because I got it for you. All you got to do is read the itinerary and follow the instructions, and you'll have an incredible trip, an incredible vacation, a road trip, everything. That is one thing I pride myself on. I make a mean damn itinerary. And that's not for everybody. People don't like doing that, and I get it. It's a lot of work. It takes time out of your day. To me, there is value in having that. Some people not. That's fine. No judgment here. But I promise you, if you come on a trip with me and you know the itinerary and you know you don't have to do any of the work, you're going to like it. You're going to like it. You maybe won't like the idea of having to do an itinerary like that yourself or plan out yourself, but you'll like the fact that it's done, that this shit was taken care of and prepared and the legwork was done. And if you want, I'll do it for you. If you're going on a trip with your family or your loved one or your mistress, let me know. I charge a very, very low rate. It's basically, give me your friendship. And maybe a Google review on my business would be nice. That's a good payment, I think, for a bang up itinerary. Come on. Anyway, I didn't even do the full nuts to butts itinerary that I normally do on these trips. because I think I'm so familiar with the route, and it ended up actually being true where I was so familiar. I just instinctively knew like the Love's rest stop is right around here. And I have enough gas and I have enough time and I don't have to pee that hard and I can go and take care of it and go to the Loves because then I can get a decent coffee. It's a clean bathroom. They have a lot of options for snacks. If it's snack time, I can fuel up. And they usually have an area to bring your dogs. A lot of times the bigger ones have a fencing area so I can unleash him a little bit if we're by ourselves and he can run around there, get some exercise because he's cooped up in the car. Old Randy over there. So it was nice. And I didn't have to deal with a lot of traffic. The only adversity we had to deal with was some poor weather on day one. The rain just followed me all the way down from Jersey to Tennessee where we stopped. But I did see what I believe to be the end of a high-speed chase on the highway in Tennessee at nighttime, right when I was about to get off our exit for the hotel. Now, I'll paint you the picture real quick, and you tell me what you think it was. I'm driving on the highway. It's later at night, 11, almost midnight. I'm pretty much the only one on the highway. On the other side of the highway, opposite me, going the opposite direction, going north, there are about 20 plus cop cars. They took up every lane of the highway, all over the place, grouped up together right there. I was like, man, there's a major accident. But something I noticed was that it was only cop cars. Okay, there was no fire trucks. There was no ambulance. Are they trucks? Ambulances? Vans? I don't know what they're called. Ambulances. No tow trucks, nothing. Just cop cars. And then there was this one Kia Soul Daddy in the middle of the highway in one of the lanes, and it was sandwiched between two cop cars. So if you're looking on YouTube land, you have the Kia Soul here going up and, going northbound, and in front of him, his front bumper was butted up against the rear bumper of one cop car, and then behind him, his rear bumper was butted up against the front bumper of another cop car. And they had him packed right there in the middle, stopped. Once again, no fire trucks, no ambuli, just cops and the Kia Soul Daddy. No other cars on the highway on that side at all. And I'm pretty sure I just missed what looked like to be a decent high-speed chase because there was 20 plus cop cars chasing after this guy. And I don't know what he was running from. Probably something stupid. It usually starts out with something stupid, and you're dealing with stupid people who freak out and don't want to take accountability for their otherwise stupid mistake. Something light, like they're speeding, so they're getting pulled over for speeding, and the cops behind them, but they have, unprescribed Adderall in their pocket, and they don't want to deal with the fines and the punishment with that. Or maybe they have a gun that's not registered to them, which is probably some jail time, but still not much compared to running from the police on top of the possession of an illegal weapon or drugs or whatever. But I guess that's why these people are doing what they're doing anyway. I guess that's why they're walking around with baggies of unprescribed prescription drugs or illegal weapons or what have yous, because they haven't figured it out yet mentally, brain-wise, maturely, that breaking the law is not the route to go. JPL3 would lose his mind if I ever did something like that. He is, Joe Boy Scout, Ranger Rick, always, told you he loves the authorities. He loves justice and he loves the authorities. So he would have a field day if that was me in the high-speed chase. But regardless, I'd be willing to bet This was a very minor offense that this guy was probably getting pulled over for. Maybe no license plate. Usually, like a lot of those trashy types, they don't have license plate. Their car's not registered. They don't have insurance, something like that. And they get pulled over, or the cop comes up behind them to pull them over, and these dopes freak out and they just run. And they think to themselves, I'll get away from this souped up cop car driven by somebody who might not have the training they deserve as a police for high speed driving and defensive driving and what have you, but they still have some sort of training in that. You get a minimum amount of training, much more than the dopes that they're chasing, usually. So I'll just outrun this guy driving a souped up cop car who has knowledge of how to drive in these sort of situations, and I'll get away from him in my beat up Kia Soul that is obviously years old, because I don't think they make new Kia Souls anymore. And if I were to venture a guess, I'm a poor bum, so it's probably in shambles as a vehicle to begin with. The tires are what is the word I'm thinking of? Not faded, worn down, bald. Well, how did I not know bald? I am bald. Tires are bald. The transmission's shot. There's probably no oil in it. He's probably got a bumper dragging down, causing more drag and friction on the road. But I'll get away from these stupid cops. Don't worry. I know what I'm doing. Well, he didn't get away. So that was basically the excitement of the road trip. I was in the hotel for all of maybe 9 hours, 8 hours. I got there. I unloaded the important stuff I needed to unload. Showered, bed, wake up, snag some of the crappy breakfast they offer, a coffee, walk Randy, on the road again. Back down from Tennessee to Texas, day 2. And day 2 was also uneventful. And that's one of those things where I always want to record and log my time on these road trips, which is a little easier to do if you got someone going with you, like my old man or a friend or Nikki Sticks or whatever. It's, we can split some driving and I have the time to remember, I should take a picture of this or whatever. But this was such a uneventful trip. There was really nothing to record and to put up for the people. So I'm not too mad about that. I'm a little bummed because I do like to do that stuff and put it out there for people to see and make fun of or whatever. But there just wasn't much on this trip. And it was smooth sailing down to Texas. And I actually did a pretty decent job of not completely eating like absolute garbage. Because usually what I'll do is when it's mealtime, I'll hit some fast food joint. Depending on the day I leave, I try to hit the Chick-fil-A or something a little bit healthier. And the stupid mistake I make is I'll order my meal and then I'll order a second meal for after my meal. For when I'm on the road and I don't want to stop again, but I know I'm going to get a little hungry. And when I say a little hungry, I mean like if I just took a little bit of trail mix, I'd be fine. And drink some water, I'll be good to go. Or a protein bar, I'd be fine. But I buy a second fast food meal and I down, another McChicken or a couple of nuggies. And it's not healthy. It's not great. I did not do that this time. I stayed strict. If I had to do fast food, it was one meal, no combo, just a burger or just a chicken. And then if I needed a water or a milk or something, I would get that. Otherwise, it was just that. And I had healthy snacks with me. JPL2 hooked me up. JPL3, hello. If JPL2 gave me road snacks right now, I would freak out. Because he's dead. So JPL3 gave me some nice fruit, grapes, blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, blackberries, all the berry combinations, for me and for Randy. Randy's a big blueberry guy. So we had snacks and I kept it healthy. And I'm pretty happy with myself on that. It could have been way worse. It has been way worse in the past, but not this time. And I think that set me up for a decent amount of success throughout the week. Now, the rest of the week when I got back was rocky, to say the least. One of the things I continue to have to improve on is my ability to bounce back from drastic changes like this. I had the routine up in the motherland, up in the dungeon with my parents, and then the road trip breaks that up. The road trip's in a whole new routine in and of itself, which is usually why I like to plan these itineraries, because it keeps me in a good solid routine to be productive and still have a good time. And then I'm back having to create another routine, or reprogram, get back into my Texas routine. And I did not prepare ahead of time well enough for that. And the majority of the week here by myself was playing catch up and kind of being in a fog, in a bit of a rut. But you work through that stuff and you don't let it get to you. And that's really the lesson in this story, when it's all said and done, is the only constant in this life is change. And the thing that we hate the most innately as human beings is change. Because as I've talked about in the past, change triggers our fight or flight, our survival instinct that we have deeply rooted inside of us. And when we first came around as human beings, as Homo sapiens, the survival instinct was there for that, to survive, life or death. Now it has sort of devolved into the first world life or death situations we find ourselves in, which is, I'm changing my routine. I'm going from one bed to another bed, and I don't like it. And my body is now uncomfortable, and I'm freaking out, and now I have to respond to that. That is what our survival instinct has become, for better or worse. It's a nice problem to have, but people are not as equipped to handle it nearly as well as back in the day, unfortunately. But that's what our body does. That's what our brains do when change is afoot. We go into these survival modes, and a lot of the times we freak out. And this is why I harp on, at least in Spearhead leadership to the people I work with, is train your body, train your mind to be uncomfortable and seek out change to get your body used to to get your brain and mind used to it, to callous your mind, expand your comfort zone, expand that comfort zone so that changes as they occur inevitably in life don't phase you as much. And I've gotten pretty good at that for my own personal life, but every once in a while I revert back to that sort of weaker minded stage of my life where I can't handle it as well, or I forget what I've already overcome, and you get in these ruts. And that's what I've had this week. I've been rutted up this week and playing catch up. And I think I got it dialed in again, back into a comfort zone, back into a routine, and appropriately preparing myself for changes so that I can just step to contingency plans as opposed to running around like a chicken with my head cut off on the fly. So that's what we got going on. That's the lesson there on the road trips and the changing and the what have yous. Now, the last thing I want to talk about here is a little bit of situation which I will have to update you all in the coming episodes because this is ongoing. And I don't know if there's gonna be an end. I have no idea. So let's just caveat that, LPDS caveat that right now. I don't know what's going on with this whole shit show right now. I get home And one of the days I'm trying to go to the gym to work out. I have a gym right behind my house. If you're looking in YouTube land, you see the window behind me. That's where my backyard is. And 40 feet behind that is a strip mall with a gym that I can go to. Now, the previous owner of my house strategically placed a gate on our fence, my fence, to be able to just go through the backyard and be right there in that strip mall to go to the gym instead of having to walk around. It saves a couple thousand feet of walking and certainly prevents you from having to drive. Even in the rain, I can just raincoat up and I'll be good to go. It's a 2-minute walk around. Well, I go back there to go to the gym to open the gate. I have latches and locks on the inside and outside. So what I do is I unlock it from the inside. I open the gate. I close it. There's a latch on the outside. I use that lock to lock it from the outside, so it's always protected, so people can't get in. And it's the same height as the rest of my fence. It was part of the fence. The fence was gateless until this was installed. All they did was just cut down the, split the fence a little bit and put hinges and locks. That's it. There's not even a handle. So it's still the gate. And if you're looking at it, if you don't see the lock, it just looks like part of the fence. That's what I meant. Still the fence, not still the gate. Well, I go to open my gate, unlock it, take the latches off, and it's not opening. And I'm like, oh, sometimes, the temperature changes and the weather and stuff kind of warps the wood and changes it, and it gets harder to open. And then I see in the cracks of the fence, it's a wood picket fence, so it's not a lot to see through, but the cracks between the woods, I can see something's afoot that's different. So instead of becoming incapacitated, I just walk around the long way. And before I go to the gym, I make it a point to walk in that back alley, because going through my backyard, you get to the back alley where the dumpsters are, and that's where the businesses toss their trash and the garbage trucks come and do their stuff. So I made it a point to walk back to there to check my gate and see what the hell was going on. Well, somebody boarded up my gate. Not in the full cartoon way where it's like 8 boards across the gate, nailed down there like Bugs Bunny does to block you completely. It's just straight across, nailed there. And I have no idea who did it, and I have no idea why. There is no note, no notice, nothing official, not even on not even marker on the board that says gotcha or call this number to find out why we did this. Nothing. It's just a 2x4 from the naked eye, a 2x4 across the gate. I get closer and I realize there are 2 2x4s stacked. And it looks like what they did was they had one 2x4 and they nailed it on there. And then they realized it wasn't long enough to actually do anything to keep the gate closed. And then they bought another one because I saw the tag on there still from the Home Depot. They cut it, measured it and cut it, and then used a nail gun to nail it. Not a hammer. I know the difference. You can tell the difference when someone uses a hand hammer and a nail gun. And they used a nail gun to nail it in there. Now, initially, I thought this has to be some sort of official thing. Excuse me. I don't know if the HOA did this or the proprietors of the shops, in that area did it, or the cops or whatever. But it looked like a professional job. But again, doing my critical analysis, the critical thinking that we talk about and teach for years now at the LPDS, gathering all the data and making assessments and analyzing, I know through my HOA, when they have an issue, if I'm violating something, they'll send letters in the mail. or they'll post notices on my front door and then email and send the letter to let me know, hey, you're on notice. I don't like the way your grass looks. Something stupid. It's usually something stupid. Didn't get that. And they're the only thing good about my HOA is that they're very efficient with giving notice on when you're doing something that those old bastards don't like. And I have no notices from them on that. I also have no notifications from the police, the constable around here, which is another thing that they would do. You provide notice, let you know, either put it in your mailbox, give you a call, whatever. Didn't get that. And I've had this gate for over a year now, and it's been part of this property for several years now. And this has not happened before. So it doesn't look like the storefront owners are doing any of this stuff unless the whole building was bought by somebody new. Or maybe the authorities did do it and they knocked on my door and I wasn't there at the time and they didn't leave a notice. I don't know. Or they posted a notice and it blew away in the really shitty weather we've had here lately. That's the only thing I can think of. Otherwise, somebody did this as a troll job. And that's that. And there's no cameras around for them to see my reaction when I notice that my gate's closed. There is nothing from them to see the reaction whatsoever, the result of their troll. Which is, I don't know if that's makes it a dumb prank or an impressive, like 3D chess type of move troll job. Where them just knowing, I don't know when this is going to happen, but I know that by me doing this and putting all this time and effort into doing this and money to buy the wood and the nail gun, that sometime soon the owner of this property is going to try to use this gate and they're not going to be able to use it. And I can go to bed smiling and laughing, knowing that one of these days they're gonna be pissed about it and they're gonna be talking about it on their podcast and they're gonna be scratching their head trying to investigate and figure out what the hell is going on and who did this. And that is troll enlightenment, because they don't need the active satisfaction of seeing the results of their prank and their troll job. Or having someone comment back. If they troll you on the internet and someone comments back, that's how they know they got you. This person has reached prank and troll enlightenment where they know just by setting the prank up, just the setup, they know what the result's going to be already, and they get that dopamine hit just by that knowledge alone. They don't need to actually see it anymore. They're far beyond that low level of prankhood, of trollitude. They don't need that anymore. They're well past that. They're well more advanced. They just need to set up a simple yet effective prank and troll job. I don't know why I keep using troll job. And then they can walk away into the sunset and know, got him. I got him. We did it. And he can go on and plan his next prank on somebody, on some other poor bastard. Now, when I told JPL all this, you can imagine what he said to me. It was, find out from the cops if they did that. Call them, find out. Maybe go to their front door and find out from the cops directly. Go to the store owners and ask them if something changed. And then go to the HOA and make sure you take pictures of it beforehand and send it to him so that he can provide legal counsel on the next steps. Now, Technically, he could be right as far as the appropriate response to a stranger essentially vandalizing your own property. Oh, he also told me to go and verify the property line and make sure the fence is on my property line technically and not somebody else's and blah, 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 all this other stuff. Technically speaking, that's probably correct. And he's never steered me wrong when it comes to right and wrong in that regard. But if you know anything about Libretti and the LPDS, you know that's not what I'm going to do. You know that's not what I'm going to do. I haven't exactly figured out yet my next move besides removing it. I got to go grab my crowbar out of one of my boxes in the garage and walk around there and get it out right after I record this, actually. But I have to figure out my next move. I don't know if I'm going to set a booby trap or if I'm going to set up like one of my Ring cameras to be positioned to see over so I can get visual of somebody coming back to identify who it might be. Maybe it's a combination of both. Maybe it's a booby trap that doesn't incapacitate them, but triggers the notification, the alert to me saying somebody's back there. So now I know I can timestamp the camera footage and record, and then I can go out there and respond actively and see what the hell is going on. Maybe I powder bomb them. Maybe I create some sort of tripwire and powder bomb them so that it into their eyes and they can't see. It's a temporary blindness for them, and they're discombobulated. They can't see. Maybe it's a smoke bomb instead. And they can't figure out, all of a sudden out of the shadows I come. And we get to the bottom of this. I don't know. I also still believe that I don't think this prankster, if it is a prankster, is going to come back. I think we're dealing with an enlightened prankster. I think this guy's gone. Unless he's got a secret camera somewhere else that I'm not seeing to watch, to sit there patiently and wait for the unknown time I'm going to come out and see this shit show. This guy's gone. And if he does have a camera there, then he's not nearly as enlightened as I thought, because I can easily bring his ass to court and take him down legally through the justice system that way, because you can't just be filming people like that on their private property. That's illegal. Sorry. So I don't know exactly what I'm going to do. This is an open case. Okay? If you have ideas, let me know in the comments on the YouTubes. You can put it in the comments on the Instagram post. You can send me a DM, whatever you want to do. Let me know if you have any ideas to figure this all out once and for all. But here's the thing with this case. This may not ever close. Like the Zodiac Killer. This may just be a mystery in perpetuity. I don't know yet. And that kind of makes it exciting to me. Maybe I should have been a cop. Maybe I should have been a detective. Because that idea of like, how long can this go for? How long can we do this dance? That kind of gets me going. That gets my juices flowing. Gets me excited to figure out my next move, because we're playing chess now, folks. We're playing chess, and it could very quickly turn to all-out war. And you know how I feel about war, folks. I don't like war, but if I have to wage war, I love being in the shit when that happens. If I have to, if you force my hand, and war is the last result for me, diplomatically speaking, war is always a last resort for me. Not last result, last resort. If you force my hand and make me play that card and force me to wage war against you, you made the biggest mistake of your lives. You made the biggest mistake of your lives, because I love being in the trenches. I love taking people down to the mud where I live. I live in the shit. I live in the sand of the beaches of modern day D-Day. I live in the trenches. I live in the mountains of Afghanistan. That's where I thrive, for better or worse, not by my choosing. I didn't choose this life. I wanted a cush flying job in the Air Force, high up in the air, where I don't have to worry about any of this stuff. I can stay in hotels when I travel. I can get meals on my plane, whatever. It would have been great. Long story, I didn't get to that point. We'll talk about that on a different episode, maybe. And now I'm a trench guy. I'm down in the dungeon basements, conducting drone operations, no windows, all hours of the night, nothing but beef jerky and cheese, baby. I'm down in the beaches of Virginia, conducting modern day D-Days. I'm in the bunks of Afghanistan, dealing with piss troughs filled with throw up from random people coming in and throwing up in our bathrooms. That's where I live. So while I hate war, and I think we go to war for very not good reasons these days, the last several decades, for political reasons that I don't like that idea. War should be a last resort, and I don't like the idea of war. It's terrible. But if you force my hand, you're opening the door. You're letting me into my world. Okay? And you're going to regret it. You're going to regret it. So while I don't want it, it's still exciting to me. The idea, because this is like a drug. It's like a drug, folks. Okay? I can't do war. I hate war. War is terrible. And this is both in a joking and serious manner. In a serious manner, war is the worst. You can't possibly imagine, if you haven't been there yourself, you can only imagine, I guess, how bad it is. It's the worst. Which is why I hate the people who decide who goes to war never actually have to experience themselves. And they don't send themselves or their families out. They send other people's families out there. War is absolute hell in a serious way. But for the purposes of this joking show, it's a drug. I hate war. War is dangerous. War is deadly. War will kill you if you do it long enough. If you OD on war. But if you give me that taste again, I already got the fresh taste. If you give it to me again, you're putting me in the world where I thrive. Okay? If you shoot me up with war and you force my hand and you tap on my arm and get that vein out and say, this is the only option, is we're going to war, you're making a big mistake. Okay? Because that's where I live, baby. That is where I live. So if this prankster wants to do that, by all means, fella, by all means, we better hope. Everybody better hope. This prankster better hope that he's enlightened and he just did the prank and he walked away and hello. See, I'm getting antsy again. I'm getting antsy. Just thinking about this, I'm getting the jitters. Is not good. I told you, war is not good. This guy better hope that he's enlightened and just walks away and that there's no end to this. It's just a cold case and we just put the files away with the Raiders of the Lost Ark in that warehouse so top men can work on it and it'll just be, we'll never know the answer. Case closed. He better hope that that's the case. Because if it's not, if he's a dope, if he's not mature and enlightened, and if he's not a high-level prankster, and he wants to get in the mud, and he wants to force my hand, and he wants to tie that rubber strap around my arm and forcibly inject me with war. He is in for the biggest mistake of his life, folks. And quite possibly some of the best entertainment you'll get on this show. So maybe you guys do want it. I don't know. But don't tease me with waging war on somebody. You know how that goes. Ask the cockroaches. Ask Lowe's. Ask any customer service representative who has taken me to the trenches. Here's a spoiler alert for you guys. You can't ask them because I climbed out in victory and they didn't make it. Okay, so stay tuned. Hopefully, for everybody's sake, there are no further updates on this situation. Hopefully. We do not want this to escalate. We really don't. And that's all I got for today. And I shouldn't have to, but we're going to give an LPDS caveat. These are the jokes, folks. Okay? If you take this seriously, you got to have your head examined. Let's be honest. Going to war with a fake prankster over a piece of wood. Let's be honest. This is all jokes. I'll go to war. I'm going to do it. But nobody's going to die. Come on. But I'll go to war. Anyway, before we get out of here, very quickly, the big three, the 3 pillars to staying strong and being a better, happier, kinder, healthier, more genuine human being and spreading that goodness and positivity throughout the land. Number 1, exercise every day. Physically, mentally, or emotionally. Pick one thing at least to do every day to improve your fitness levels and your health and wellness physically, mentally, or emotionally. Number 2, don't be a shitty person. Be a kind person. Choose kindness. When the opportunity arises to be shitty and negative to somebody, whether in person or on the internet, realize your emotional state in that situation, detach from those negative emotions, and omit yourself from the situation altogether. And just by doing that, you're minimizing the negativity and the shit going on in the world, and you're allowing yourself the capacity to go focus on more positive and productive things in your lives. Number 3, the most important one, be genuinely thankful and grateful for all the good you have in your lives. And you could just do this by thinking of one good thing each day that you have in your lives and thinking about what your life would be like without that thing and how shitty would it be. And that will put you in a state of gratitude right then and there. And the more you do that during the times it's easy, when things are going well in your life, the more likely you'll be able to revert to that when things are going shitty. Because we all know when things are shitty in our lives and we're in those ruts and we're in those down times and we're feeling depressed and sad and nothing seems to be going well, it's very easy for us to take things for granted. Instead of seeing the good in things, instead of understanding that I'm bitching and moaning and crying and whining here with a nice roof over my head, with running water, with man's best friend right next to me, with a family who loves me and I can call and talk to at any given moment when I'm feeling down if I need them. It's very easy to take that for granted when you're in the fog of war like that. Fog of depression, the fog of sadness, the fog of the rut. So by following the big 3, especially gratitude, during the good times, you are setting yourself up for success to be able to handle the bad times and to get through them more effectively and successfully. And by doing all that each and every day, you will be, I promise you, you will be a better, happier, kinder, healthier, more genuine human being. You could be able to spread that positivity and love and goodness throughout the land. Thank you guys again for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Tell your friends and enemies. Hit the hotline, 202-670-1114. I keep forgetting to mention the hotline in the beginning because I know a lot of people hear the big 3 and then they probably cut it off after that. Hit the hotline, 202-670-1114, so we can talk and interact and have a good time with it. Thank you guys again. I love you all. Stay strong.